morning, everyone. The paper I'm presenting today is titled The Play of Power, Surveillance and Suppression of Memory in the Dystopian Space. Dystopian novels, as we know, arose in response to utopian literature. Utopian novels often depict picture-perfect and ideal societies, whereas dystopian novels portray societies in decline. Those are the flawed societies. So we often see governmental oppression, war, and the inhuman use of technology in these dystopian novels. They often serve as allegories and social satires. This paper focuses on two such dystopian novels, namely The Memory Polus by the Japanese author Yoko Ogawa and The Giver by the American author named Loi Lowry. In both these novels, we come across forces of power which operate on people both mentally and physically. By applying the theories of two French philosophers of power who are none other than Louis Althusser and his student Michel Foucault, we can analyze these novels better. So first, let's take a look at The Memory Polus. The Memory Polus opens on an unnamed island where objects disappear and along with them, memories too disappear. Of course, there are people who retain their memories on this island, but we are not given any clue as to what is making these things or these memories disappear. All we know is that there is an organization named the Memory Polus at work on this island to enforce these disappearances. The narrator of the novel is a young woman. She is a novelist, and most of her novels talk of all these losses and are reflective of her surroundings. I've already mentioned about people who retain memories on this island. The narrator's mother was one among those few people who retained their memories on this island. And her mother used to keep aside these mundane objects that disappeared. These objects included hats, ribbons, all the everyday objects. She used to keep aside all these in a drawer. And when this child, the narrator, was a little girl, she used to show all these to the narrator. And among these things she kept aside, there was an emerald. And this emerald was a keepsake from her grandmother. So this emerald, we can see, is intricately connected to the memories she has of her grandmother. And so we understand the pricelessness of not only mundane objects, but also the memories associated with them. The narrator mentions the time when she had a direct encounter with the Memory Polus. And that happened the day after birds disappeared from the island. By the use of physical violence, we can understand that the Memory Polus acts as the repressive state apparatus on this island. The Memory Polus one fine morning showed up on her doorstep and asked to be taken to her father's study. And there they rifled through all his documents and took away anything that was remotely related to birds. The narrator mentions that after they had taken away all these documents, she stood in the middle of the room and she was engulfed by a sense of emptiness because all the memories associated with those documents and associated with her father were taken away by the Memory Polus. Surveillance works on this island in quite interesting ways. People are always conscious of what is leaving their mouths because when transgressions occur, other people can report them to the Memory Polus. And even more interesting is the fact that people on this island never make a fuss when these objects and memories disappear. When hats disappeared, the milliner turned to become an umbrella maker. So we come to Michel Foucault's understanding of power as being productive. Because power produces certain forms of behavior and forms of self-regulation leading to the creation of docile bodies. So these people are the docile bodies on the island. Again, Foucault mentions in The History of Sexuality, where there is power, there is resistance. So of course, you might be wondering whether there is resistance on this island too. Yes, there is. There are voices of resistance on this island. There are safe houses which are run by people on this island where people who retain their memories can take shelter. But over the course of this novel, we can understand that even those people are taken away by the Memory Polus. The narrator also resists by keeping on writing even though objects and words are fast disappearing from her, and she even finishes her novel. And she also gives shelter to her editor, R, who is also a person who is retaining his memories. But at the end, what we can realize or what we can understand from the situation is that all these people or all these resistance from the part of the people never proved to be rewarding. Because what happens at the end is people, including the narrator, lose their physical bodies and they are reduced to mere voices which continue to disappear. And the novel ends in such a manner. The giver also presents a similar situation. Just as that of the Memory Polus, we see that forces of power operate in the community of the giver too and oppress people both mentally and physically. People also become the latent tools of repression in the space of the giver. The giver follows a young boy by the name of Jonas, and Jonas is living in a community where they have effectively eliminated both crime and pain. So the giver starts off in a utopia, but we can see that it quickly veers into the realm of dystopia. What happens here is that there is a committee of elders present in the community, and this committee of elders becomes the repressive state apparatus there. Spouses are massed in the community by the committee of elders, and professions are assigned to people. So people have no choice regarding even their profession. Synthetically created families are there everywhere in the community. And people also do not know anything of love and family or the family bondings. There are birth mothers in this community who are assigned the specific task of giving birth. For 3 years, they'll be having a life of ease, and after 3 births, they'll be assigned to a lifetime of labor. And in this phase too, people never question the committee of elders. Once when Jonas actually voices his misgivings to his parents about being assigned a profession which he doesn't like, then the parents reassure him that the committee of elders knows what is best for everyone around. So people never raise their voice. And even more interesting is the fact that Jonas, in the ceremony of 12, where he is assigned his profession, is assigned the profession of being the receiver of memory in this community. He gives up, or he gets the training from the giver, who is the present receiver in that community. And the giver is actually a custodian of human history and memory. This giver starts transmitting memories to Jonas, both pleasurable and painful memories. Only when he starts receiving these memories does he understand that he is living in a community where they have effectively eliminated things like sunlight or snow or colors. And also, he begins understanding that their emotions lack depth because of all these memories which are effaced from people. Resistance happens in this case too. In the giver too, resistance happens mainly from the part of the protagonist. And just before the next ceremony of 12, where he knows that Gabriel, a boy his father was nurturing, his father is actually a carer, will be released. And release is merely a euphemism for homicide in that community. So what happens is Jonas takes away Gabriel and escapes from this community. But this novel also ends in an open-ended manner, and we are left to our own interpretations as to whether they'll be able to live a life of joy as they wish to, or they'll succumb to other forces of power. So from an analysis of both these novels, we can come to the conclusion that forces of power, when they operate mentally and physically on people, will deny them of their choices and deprive them of their uniqueness. They will take away their identity and individuality of people and reduce life to nothing but a meaningless and empty void. So with that said, I end my presentation. Thank you for listening.